Hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching. This is me, Mr. P, and in this video I want to talk to you about the Linc Station N1 full flash storage NAS device. So let's begin. Linc Station sent me this device to check it out, and I was thinking what is the best way for me to present this device to you. And I thought I will do what I do the best on this channel is I'll get Proxmox installed and show it to you how Linc Station can perform as the Proxmox server. But before going into that, I want to run quickly down the spec list just to give you a bit of idea how powerful or how not powerful, depending how you're going to look at this device is. Celeron 4-core N5105 CPU with base clock of 2 GHz, and this CPU supports up to 16 GB of RAM. When I'm looking for the Proxmox nodes, I usually look for the node for the hardware that can support at least 32 GB of RAM, just because the amount of storage I'm running on, just because the amount of stuff I'm running inside my Proxmox cluster. 16 GB is already not that enough per node for me to have. But for majority of you, if you want to have a simple Proxmox server running at home, 16 GB will be more than enough. And now let's go over the hardware. As you can see, this is the device. It's very small and very light. It's 21 centimeters by 15 centimeters by 4 centimeters in height and weighs less than 800 grams without the drives. When obviously you put the drives in, it's going to be a bit of the heavier. So first of all, let's go through all the connections. At the front, we have a power button and a bunch of LED lights which will indicate how the drive's performing. There is this kind of a shelf latching mechanism here, which is a bit of a sometimes struggle for me to open, as you need to press at a certain angle to make sure that this is opens. And you will see here 2 empty slots and USB Type-C in the middle. USB Type-C can be used for charging, let's say, a phone, or attach external storage device to add more storage capacity to this unit. These 2 empty slots, this is where the SSD trays will go in. For this video, I'm using a Crucial BX 240 GB SSDs, and they are mirrored, and the Proxmox installed on both of them during the Proxmox installation. I picked that these 2 SSDs can be mirrored, and that's how the Proxmox is installed. So right now, let's go and put them in. Just want to make sure that you put them in the right order, as if you're going to put, for example, this way, it's not going to work. You need to make sure that the 2 pins going outwards. So it goes like this. One goes in here, one goes in here. And right now I'm just gonna press it down, and that's it. As you can see right now, the bottom part is revealed, and this is where NVMe drives will go in. To fit an NVMe drive in this slot is quite easy. There is a plastic pin, which if I pulled it back, it springs out the NVMe, which I'm gonna go and put back in like that. And the capacitors, you can see, you can fit up to 4 NVMe's. For this video, I was trying to get 4 512 GB NVMe drives, but sadly only 3 arrived. The 4th one arrived damaged, so I end up with only 3 512 GB NVMe's, which are these 2 and this. And this one I just added in just as a placeholder, which is 256 GB NVMe. And they are all 3 512 ME drives, set up in RAID inside the Proxmox, and this is where virtual machines will store its all the virtual drives, ISO files will be stored, and the backups. One thing you probably noticed, there is a 3 doors here, or 3 latches, 3 covers for these 2 holes. And the reason for that is that this, we still have the protected peel on it. This is arrived inside the box already damaged. There's a plastic pin here which allows, or which basically puts the door securely and locks in. That was already broken. And big thanks to Linc Station team. As soon as I sent an email and said, look guys, it's arrived and one of these are actually broken, straight away without questions, anything, the new replacement was sent. So kudos to them. I hope it's not going to happen to you, but if a device arrives inside the box with the damaged components, but straight away, as you can see, I sent them an email, and within less than 48 hours I received a confirmation that the replacement is already being dispatched, and then 2-3 days later it's arrived through the door. So right now I'm gonna go and put those in. So yeah, speaking about this latch, you need to be careful, as it is a plastic and very small. There is a chance that might break when you will try to constantly open and close this door. So once you set up your NVMe storage and you know that this is how you're gonna run, you just put everything in and just sort of add in and forget that they exist. You don't want to keep opening and closing this door, because there is a chance for this to break. And another thing, there is a chance of dust and basically these gonna get dirty and scraped and etc. So once you set everything up, you close this. Hopefully for quite a long period of time. You don't need to replace NVMe drives anymore. So this is one setup. This stays as it is. At the back we have a power delivery via barrel plug. Then we will find the 2.5 gigabit internet RJ45 plug, 2 USB Type A 3.0 ports, full-size HDMI, and audio jack. Thinking about this, why there is an audio jack or full-size HDMI on a device that is NAS device, you can think in this way, that you can use this as a media station. No one is stopping you to install the Windows on this or a Linux operating system. No one is stopping you to install Proxmox. This device comes with an Unraid license, so you can run straight away as an Unraid. Unraid comes pre-installed on built-in EMC storage, so you can run with that, or you can basically turn that off inside the boot option and run straight away off USB drive, and then install whatever OS you want on your SSDs or onto you go, forgot to plug that in, or onto the NVMe storage. I did is just plugged in USB drive and installed Proxmox on both drives as a mirrored to have a Proxmox running. So this is why I would say these are very useful to have on such a device. As yes, you install Windows and you can output a video display onto a screen and play some audio through the audio jack, or you can bypass or pass through both of them into a VM, and then you can run this and output some stuff. Let's say you have a VM, very basic Alpine VM or Ubuntu VM or some other VM that outputs display with, let's say, telemetrics of your Proxmox cluster or single Proxmox node, or you can run a VM just to output the browser output to a display where it's showing your Home Assistant dashboard. Sky is limitless, so you can go and get whatever you want here installed. So right now what I will do, I'm gonna plug everything in. I have everything ready, and we're gonna jump into web UI for the Proxmox to see how the Proxmox performs when I'm running Proxmox inside with two SSDs as a mirrored, and all the storage and everything goes on a flash drives. So first of all, I need to press the button and wait for the beep. So when the beep happens, that's it. That means it's booting up. So right now I need to wait for 10-15 seconds for this device to fully start. Once the device fully started, I'm just gonna enter the IP address followed by the usual 8006 port number, enter the user root, and then the password which I created, which is just a simple 123 QWE. And here we go. I am inside the web UI for the Proxmox that is running inside the Linc Station N1. First of all, click on under data centers. I will click on a node and click on a summary. This is where I will see all the information about this device. As it's right now starting fresh with all the VMs still kicking in and booting up, CPU obviously will get pinned to a 100%. But once everything is settled down, CPU runs around maximum about 40-50%, but usually just sits just below 5%. As you can see, I/O delays going a bit of a 2%, right now less than 1%. When everything is idles down and it goes almost to a normal state, the I/O delay never goes above 1%, and like I mentioned, CPU barely sometimes even touch 10%. And the RAM, as you can see, right now is doing just around 50% of the utilization of the RAM. And this is why I mentioned that this is going to be a great device if you want to have a Proxmox server, fast Proxmox server, as it is all flash storage, and you'd want to run a couple of VMs and XC containers. You don't want to go nuts and having 15 Windows 11 VMs and Linux OS running as a virtual machines. This is going to be a very, very, very amazing device, very useful device, and power efficient device, which I'll cover in a second, for you to run it. And right now, okay, so yeah, all the specification about this. If we go here, let's say our maximum is jumped all the way to 80%, but right now it's jumped down and it sort of just sits idling at around 2% or so. And I'll show you about idling and power usage in a second. Next thing, what I want to show you is the disks. Under disks, if I go node and disks, let me collapse all these. Here we go. So This is the 256 gigabyte NVMe, which I'm using just for placeholder, just to show you that all 4 slots being detected. And these 3 are in RAID. And if I click on ZFS, as you can see, they are in RAID 1 and they're running fine. Everything's online. And this is where all the VMs that I configured for this video storing its data. So let's go to fast. You go 1 terabyte of storage and 1 drive as a redundancy setup. And right now is being using 112, 113 gigabytes of storage. Let's go back inside the disks. And inside the disks, like I said, I have 3 512 gigabytes. The SDA and SDB, this is my 2 crucial SSDs. This is where the Proxmox OS lives. And then we met with the USB drive, which says flash disk. This is where Unraid stores its all pre-configured, pre-installed information or OS. So if you want to still use RAID, flash disk is still there for you to go and switch around inside the BIOS as a boot option, and then you jump into Unraid. One thing that is very confusing for me is that Proxmox showing this as a 4.03 gigabytes of storage, but the Linc Station documentation mentioning that that built-in EMC storage should be 128 gigabytes. Could be this is just the way the Proxmox displays, or just the documentation is incorrect. I'll double check and I'll leave a pinned comment just to confirm this, if this is what Proxmox showing is incorrect or the documentation is a bit not correct. But anyway, so this is all the drive detected and everything runs. I have the Ubuntu 24.04 server running with utilization pretty much CPU not even being used and 2 gigabytes of RAM. Everything runs perfectly. I have Windows 11 with 4 virtual CPUs and 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of boot drive. So if I'm going to double click on this, let's open a Windows 11. Let's quickly log in into this. Let's go make sure that it's local scaling. Let's punch in. Enter. That's it. We're logging into Windows 11. File server is just a LXC container which runs as a NAS. This is the one that you can pretty much configure yourself. There is no super configurations required, nothing. You actually just need to go to your CT templates, look for a template called file server, if you can spell correctly, file server, and download that, and you have yourself a file server running. Actually, I'm going to demonstrate that now. If off screen, I'll quickly enter the IP address of this file server like that. Here we go. So there we go. I logged in into this file server 62, and I have a couple of folders here. Let's delete these folders and let's go move something into this folder. Let's go and find something as a big file for me to migrate. Let's go into my YouTube setup and something that I downloaded before, or something that I showed before. Let's say I will upload Blinko self-hosted notes service. As you can see, I'm uploading this via gigabit speed. Yes, the Linc Station N1 supports 2.5 gigabit speed, but currently my computer that I'm using to record all this is actually connected via Wi-Fi. So via Wi-Fi, I'm sending to the NAS at those speeds. Is still mind-blowing for me how fast it goes in. Speaking about 2.5 gigabits, we can actually test this if it is definitely 2.5 by doing a quick test, which I need to go and ping one of my nodes inside the cluster, which is 2.5 gigabit connected, because not all of them is. So iperf-c and IP address of the node of my Proxmox cluster, that is definitely 2.5 gigabit speed. And as you can see, I'm reaching the top full 2.5 gigabit speed going there, and I can go the other way around. If I'll find this is the my main Proxmox for nodes, and let's go iperf-c 192.168.178.158. We're gonna send data back, and it's going 2.5 gigabit speed as well. So yeah, Linc Station N1 do have 2.5 gigabit speed running. Back to the setup. Next one is media server. These all the VMs LXC containers I created is pretty much what majority of you would run as a first kind of thing when you're creating home lab. Everybody wants to have a NAS, everybody wants to have a Plex or something alternative like Plex, and maybe Pi-hole, and maybe virtualized Windows. So media server, this is the Jellyfin. If I go to Jellyfin IP address, and we're gonna see how Jellyfin performs. Let's log into Jellyfin. Here we go, and I have a big buddy video downloaded, which is 1080p at H.264 encoding, and as you can see, it's running no problem at all. And while this is playing, I want to show you this. This is the smart plug, which is basically connected between the wall socket and Linc Station, and currently is using 16 watts of power. As you can see, this is where I turned it on. It jumped all the way to about 7 or 8. Actually, this is where it goes up. It goes up to about 20-25 watts when it's booting up, and then it sort of idles down. If we go back to yesterday's date, this is where I left the Linc Station running all day. Or actually not all day, just a couple hours at the end of the day, starting from 3 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. As you can see, averaging out, the power is between 12 and let's say 18 watts of power. This is constantly running, just sit there and just idling at between 12 and 18 watts of power. So Berg Bunny, as you can see, at 1080p plays no problem at all, and using around, currently, let's go back, using 14 watts of power. Very, very power efficient device. So while this is playing, actually we can leave it playing. Let's do it playing from the start. Let's go and see how my Windows is doing. So I'm logged in inside the Windows. This is a Windows 11 VM running. What else? Yeah, and the Pi-hole. Pi-hole is just a standard Pi-hole installed. Like I said, I'm trying to get everything running what majority of you want to have as a starting point. So Pi-hole runs 546. The ad blocks 550. So if I'll go to a website which is quite notorious with the ads, so 500, you go jump by 30, almost by 40. Here we go, 616. So the website that I'm looking off screen right now do definitely contain a bunch of ads, and as you can see, the number of the queries blocked, it just goes up. Hell, we're almost going at 700. Let's go. Let's do one more refresh and we're gonna cross 700. Here we go, 720. So Pi-hole definitely runs on this, and while all this is running, is using only 14 watts of power. One more thing I want to show you is that there is a package that you can install inside your Linux machines, which is called Power Top. It's not Power Off. If you type Power Off, you're gonna shut it down. Believe me, I've done that before. I thought that the Power Top was installed, and just punching Power Top, power, and just double tab off and just enter. I shut it down so many times, my notes. So when you type, you need to install Power Top. If it doesn't exist, like if you aren't gonna see that, or it just says doesn't exist, you just do apt install Power Top and just leave that running and get that installed. And when this is installed, you will get this. So if I type Power Top, and now it's gonna give me the CPU performance or CPU statuses. So if I go to idle state stats, it shows me the C numbers or C states. C states, and I'll need to pull the cheat sheet for that because I keep forgetting. So the C states, what is it? I keep forgetting what is that the name of that is. C state is basically CPU idle state. It means like how efficient the CPU is at the idle state. And if you look at these numbers, specifically at the core packages, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, as it is 4-core Celeron CPU and 5105. I can see that this core, 79% of the time since it was turned on, is sitting at C7 state. This is 77% sits in C7 state, then a bit of C6 state, C7, C6 state, and then etc. etc. C6 and C7. C6 stands for deep power down state. Voltage is reduced or turned off for that CPU core. And C7 is even deeper state where basically CPU is completely turned off, or this core is completely turned off. So this is showing that right now this Linc Station N1 pretty much just sitting there and idling away with doing nothing with the current C state of, let's see, of 80, almost 90%, as you can see, over 90, almost 90, over 90%. So sitting there and just a very small part of that core just doing something. 14 watts of power consumption at idle right now is 12, is an amazing thing. It is an amazing thing. This is like it's like a golden nugget for me to have this kind of device that at idle just using 12, 14 watts of power. As I live in UK, and in UK right now, pretty much past a year or so, but almost every day getting worse, the electricity prices are going really stupid. I'd want to have something very, very power efficient. So running this device at 12 watts of power is an amazing thing. Like currently my Galaxy cluster, 4 nodes, NAS, modem, router, a bunch of other stuff, everything combined runs at around 110 watts. And when you think this, all of them included, it's just 110 watts. This is seeing this kind of powerful device with all flash storage and runs only 12 watts of power when it's idling is something like a magic to me. And pretty much I think that is it. Everything is runs. Here we go. Bug Bunny is still playing. Pi-hole is still doing its bits. And Windows 11 is still running. And everything runs on a flash storage device and it's super fast and it's just an amazing thing. Plus, when you touch this device a bit, it doesn't really feel hot. It does feel warm as the fan needs to kick in and cool it down, but it's definitely not warm. It's definitely not loud. If you will really try to listen to a fan kick in, yes, you will hear it. And that is it. Linc Station N1, all flash, very powerful, efficient NAS storage device that you can use not only for Android, but as a Proxmox server, as a Windows machine, as a Linux machine. You can dual boot of it. You can install one SSD will be Windows, one other SSD will be Linux device, and you can dual boot. This is a computer that all flash storage, and it just consumes how much? 18 right now. 18 watts of power. Pretty much average out between 12 and 16 or so. Here you go, 15. Amazing thing. Amazing device. Anyway, all the information about this device, or all the extra information that I haven't mentioned in this video, I leave in the description below, just below the like button. In my opinion, this is a very good device as your first Proxmox node. If you like these kind of videos, please consider subscribe or just leave a like, press the like button. I will reply to every comment that I receive on every video. So just leave your questions or suggestions, anything in the comment section below, and I'll come back to you ASAP. And I think that is it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And like always, I see you in the next one. Goodbye.